So let's go ahead and get started in our review. Some of you have been waiting a very long time for us to pick this back up. And here we are. So this is our corporate cults review. A viewer recommended this book to me about a year or so ago. And it has been really, really incredible. It's filled with amazing knowledge, content, quotable material. We've been going through it all. The overall purpose of why we are doing this is we want to redefine and reshape working and corporate culture to be a place where people can earn an honest living free of harassment and mental duress, okay? We don't believe the workplace is somewhere you have to go get hazed into to earn a paycheck. We're people, we're adults, we just want to show up, we want to work, we want to do everything that's asked of us, and we expect fair treatment in return, and really that's all that there is to it. So, what's interesting is now with everything going on, the topic of this chapter being separation from the community, it's interesting now that we've been forced out of the community that was created for us, that community being the corporate culture. So I want to start off with a real life example first before we actually get into the content. I think that hits home a little bit better. We've had all kinds of real examples for this series. This article just came out a few days ago called Husband Praises His Wife for Quitting Her Job. Not one promise came to fruition. So it's a very short article. It's called Husband Praises His Wife for Quitting Her Job. Not one promise came to fruition. When Kimberly Brown realizes she needed to quit her job, she had the most important person in her corner, her husband, Jacob. I 100% supported her decision, Jacob Brown wrote in a LinkedIn post that went viral. Kimberly had spent more than 3 years at home caring for the couple's 4 children and working as a wedding and family photographer. But she decided recently to go back to corporate America. It was going to be part-time, 3 days a week for 5 weeks, and then full-time remote position, and seemed to be a great fit for work-life balance as we were putting our 3-year-old son and 8-month-old daughter into daycare for the first time. Things did not go as planned. His post, which has since been removed at the request of the wife's former company, read, "Last week, my wife decided to quit her job. Her last day was Friday. I 100% supported her decision. The company she worked for promised her a good culture, a work-life balance, and time to get up to speed with the work. Not one promise came to fruition. Instead of good culture, there was extreme micromanagement and degradation. She was on call 24/7 and chastised for picking our children up from daycare after 5 p.m. Instead of ramp-up time, she was patronized for not understanding certain terminology within an industry she'd never touched 2 weeks into the position. This was not what she signed up for, nor was it the company culture she was promised. Cheers to my wife and all others who have had the courage to take a stand. I stand with you. Fail forward." Jacob Brown said he wrote the post because I knew there were others out there experiencing the same type of treatment and wanted them to know that there is a way out. Most of the time, people stay in bad situations because they believe it's normal. It's not. As for Kimberly Brown, she was comfortable with her husband sharing her experience publicly. I know there are other companies out there, including those who I'm proud to have worked for in the past, that support a work-life balance and have great culture. I know I didn't need to settle, and I want others to know that they don't need to either. That's right, supportive workplace is out there. I'll find it, and so will they. The Howell, Michigan couple said the response was incredibly supportive. I hope this will spark courage in someone who may be dealing with a toxic work environment and decide they want better for themselves. I'm also hopeful that companies that read it decide to provide their employees with a culture they can be proud of, okay? So very short little article. What I really wanted to focus on was this part right here in the middle that starts with the not one promise came to fruition. So this is happening more often than you guys may realize. And this is also happening to a lot of young people. So I'm just making an assumption about her age. She's probably somewhere around late 30s, maybe early 40s, something like that. So some people might consider her, quote unquote, in the workplace, aged out, which is discrimination, but we won't get into that. However, it's happening to young people as well. It's happening to people in their mid to early 20s. It's happening. And what I really wanted to focus on was the extreme micromanagement, the degradation, and the thing that really stuck out to me for this one was the ramp up time. You guys would be surprised how many companies really expect you to walk in the front door knowing everything. Everything. And as it says here, she was patronized for not understanding certain terminology within an industry she'd never touched 2 weeks into the position. This is not an exaggeration. I've actually gone into interviews, and as part of the whole, do you have any questions for us? I will always ask, how much time will I have to get up to speed? And they'll usually say something like 30 days. We have a 30, 60, 90-day plan, and I've only seen one company truly honor that. And I'll say to them, okay, that sounds great. I said, what happens if it takes me a little longer than the 30 days to get it? Then what? We have to have this conversation on the front end, because the conversation I'm not going to have is the conversation about, it's taking you too long to grasp this. Well, we talked about this. How much time would it take? Okay. So that is the article example that I wanted to show you. The angle that the news took with this particular story was that the husband is so great for praising his wife for quitting. And he is, but I was more hung up on the reasons why she quit, which are actually quite common. The micromanagement, the being degraded, the not giving enough time to learn the work, to learn the process, to learn the company. They want you to know in 30 days, I'm telling you guys. So those of you who might be thinking about going back to work, maybe you took time to have kids, you took time off, whatever. I want you to know what you are facing. You are facing some headstrong, psychotic, aggressive young people who have no rooting in real understanding. It's hard for me to explain. All they know is how to copycat each other and how to follow orders. I mentioned this already in a previous live stream, that I'm concerned about my generation. They lost all their courage. It's gone. So they get you in there, they hire you, and it's like the only thing they know how to do is grind down, micromanage, grind, micromanage. If they don't have a problem, they'll figure out a problem to have so they have something to manage. Okay? So if you're an older person, and really I use the term older loosely, I mean older in the terms of the workforce. You're going to have a tough time unless you come across some really mature individuals to do your work with. But if you're trying to go into these young tech companies, I'm telling you, they've all lost it. They've lost it. Okay? But I think the coronas might be resetting everything. Everything. So, right, they don't even know how to follow rules. It's insane. You want other people to follow rules, but you don't even follow the rules. I don't know where all their training went, because I know my generation, we were brought up with Sesame Street. Where is your Sesame Street? It left them completely in favor of this perceived notion of progress, which truly isn't progress at all, as we are seeing. Because if we were really progressing as a society and a community, we wouldn't be in almost total collapse right now. We would already have backup plans to the backup plan. Don't get me started, y'all. I'm trying to stay focused. All right. So chapter 8 of Corporate Cults is all about separation from the community. Okay. It begins on page 140. So why don't we go ahead and get into it? And again, how ironic that they spend so much time pulling us away from our community, and now we are being forced back into it by them. Very interesting. So on page 140, it says, when work becomes life, the individual is in a cult. Okay? So, yes, we were. Sorry, I keep looking at the comments. It says we were also brought up by a lot of, I'll have to say, parents that were mistreated. So as a result, it's kind of like we know how to treat people, if that makes sense, because it's supposed to have the opposite effect. All right. If you're mistreated coming up, you're supposed to be someone who doesn't mistreat. Anyway, don't get me started. Let me not look at these comments. When work becomes life, the individual is in a cult. How many times have you seen slide across your social media something to the effect of work is life, living to work, you got it. You know what I mean. People who have completely devoted their lives to their jobs. Now, a lot of people would argue with me and say, but PTE, we have to work. We have to work. We have to make money to live, right? But they've forgotten that they were the first reason for the job anyway, meaning their life, their existence is why they're even going to that job. Like when they were born, they weren't thinking about work. That's what we've lost. We're losing our humanity day by day and very, very slowly. Okay? So, and thank you for the feedback on the audio. I'm going to keep going. Thank you guys. Okay? So we're losing little bits of our humanity every single day, and we don't even realize how much of it we've handed over to our jobs. The title of this book is Corporate Cults, but really we're talking about any job that requires a cult-like level of devotion from you in order to keep receiving your paycheck. Meaning it has nothing to do with how well you've done. It has nothing to do with your work product, your performance, your work ethic. It has everything to do with how well you worship the leaders and the overlords. And the better of a job you do of that, the more likely you will have your job long term. Okay? And what we're here to say is that is not what we want. We're asking for something different, something very different. Okay? So moving on, page 140, it says at work daycare, auto repairs, bookstores, exercise facilities, and parties all bring the employee closer to the organization and further from the community. Okay. So I've been giving like a lot of personal revelations throughout all of this, because you all have to understand. I grew up in a 2-parent household. Both of my parents worked. My mother was a teacher and my father was like a corporate guy. He was a corporate type person. And I watched him like go to work. I watched him bring home like the paraphernalia, the memorabilia, the t-shirts. I watched him. Sometimes we would go to the company parties with him. So this was deeply embedded in my mindset. You understand? Entrepreneurial, anything was not even brought up or mentioned in my household. That was never really an option. The only option I ever really had was go to school, get your degree, graduate, get a good job with a good company, and get some good benefits. That was it. Okay? So, for anyone else who kind of grew up like me or grew up similar to me, how do you see outside of that? Like if it's never even really presented, and understand that social media was not a thing yet. So I couldn't have been permission to exist at age 16 or 18 because social media was just now getting started. So a lot of the alternative options that are out there now for people weren't available at the time is what I'm saying. So anyway, I say all that to say that things like this, when I was younger, used to really appeal to me. I was like, oh my gosh, if I ever have a baby, to be able to bring my baby to work with me, that would be awesome. Then I can just go check on them. And, if they need something, I'll be right there. I won't be far away. Man, car repair? Are you serious? I can just go get an oil change and then go straight to work? Just drop my car off on site? Wow. Bookstore? You got me at bookstore. You know that. You sold me at bookstore. A gym? Wow. So I can just leave my desk, go to the gym, and then go home. Perfect. I don't have to go anywhere else. Parties? Awesome. I love to party, in spite of what you all might believe. In spite of what you might believe about me, I love to party. Love it. Okay? So, great. I can party with my coworkers? Awesome. Like, this is the way my mind functioned. And if you think about it, look at what every single thing is saying. At work daycare, meaning I'm not going to the daycare outside in my neighborhood. On-site auto repair, so I'm not going to my local auto repair. On-site bookstore, so I'm not going to my local bookstore. On-site gym, so I'm not going to my local gym, meeting different people. On-site parties, hey, why do you need to party anywhere else when you can party with us every night at happy hour? So now I'm not partying with the community, okay? So that is kind of the overall point, which brings us to our next slide. The unintended effect is that they separate workers from traditional community relationships and replace them with work relationships as the workplace becomes the only community the employee has. And you'll notice a star in the upper left-hand corner. I put that star there for people who might have a short attention span. This is kind of the overall main idea point of this entire live stream. That the unintended effect of offering all of these different amenities to your employees, which are great, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking them. Notice the word unintended. That's what that word unintended means. Because believe me, I do think that they are well-meaning when they do this. I do. So the unintended effect is that they separate workers from the traditional community relationships and replace those relationships with work relationships as the workplace becomes the only community that the employee has. And that is the problem, guys. That is the problem. How many of you went off to college and lost contact with almost all of your high school friends, right? Almost all of them. Maybe one hung in there. Maybe one. And people will tell you that that's normal, and it kind of is, especially if you move away. Everyone moves away, living in different cities, different states. It is hard to maintain that tight network, and your kids when you first met. So, people change as you mature, you move away from certain people. So it is normal to a very large extent. But at the same time, what happens then is that your new community becomes kind of nomadic, meaning now your new community is the college community. Then once you graduate from college, then your new community becomes your first job. And if you have your own apartment, maybe the neighborhood you live in. And I say maybe because how many people really know their neighbors? For those who live in apartments, how many know your across the hall neighbor? For those who live in houses, how many know your across the street neighbor? Like at least know their first name. And I know it happens, but truly, So anyway, then once you leave your first job, your new community becomes your second job. And then if you switch apartments or maybe you buy a house, now your new neighborhood is your new community. So that seems normal to us now, but the truth is, where's your home base? Like, do you have a home base? Not really. Not when it's been broken, and then every time you make a major life change, your community changes. So I know that might sound strange, like, well, yeah, if you move out of state, then you'll have a new community. But what I'm saying is the ties that connect us to each other are broken and keep breaking. So it's kind of like, how can real friendships ever form? How can people really meet other people to date and marry if their community keeps getting severed every time they make a life break? And the reason that it keeps getting severed every time they make a life break is generally because of this right here. Wherever they are, everything that they need is provided to them. So they no longer have to go outward looking for it. Wherever they are, their community is given to them. Sounds great until you realize, I don't actually have a community anymore. What community do I belong to? You see what I mean? So it's kind of tragic, and it's a little sad if you think about it. It's a little bit sad because you basically have all these disconnected individuals living near each other who don't know each other. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain coldness. Now I know a lot of communities around the country and world have warmth to them. They're connected. They know each other's names. I know that still happens, but in a lot of these major cities where they've really tried to force this socialization thing, it's amazing how isolated people are still. How people still don't talk on the elevator, really. How people who live in the same building will just pass right by each other. They might nod, but that's the extent, you know? It's weird. Like, it seems like the closer we get to each other physically, the further we're getting away from each other mentally. And it would be the reverse. Like, the closer we are mentally, perhaps the more we like to be away from each other physically. I don't know. Let's move on to the next slide. So this is also on page 140. It says, American culture no longer fosters a sense of community. Okay? Now, isn't that ironic? Because we're supposed to be the country that's all about family and community. But our actual culture no longer fosters that. We no longer really have that sense of community anymore. Why? Because everyone is going. Everyone is working so hard that this pause that we're having right now, this break in action, might be the first time a lot of people have taken a break in many, many years. It might be. It's a forced break. And I hope that everyone is taking this opportunity to truly reflect on what's important. Now that people are being forced into their homes, forced to stay there, forced to reckon with everything that's in it and everyone that's in it, if there's someone in there, you know, a lot of people are running from their homes. So I was talking to someone the other day regarding all this that's going on with the virus and stuff. And I was like, oh, you know, I was like, well, I'm sure everyone's pretty happy about working from home. And he goes, yeah, not really. I was like, no, you really? Because myself and this individual have had lots of conversations about work. And he was like, yeah, I was thinking about it. He was like, he was like, I like to separate my work from my house. He was like, I don't like my work to be in my house. I was like, okay, that's fair. I was like, that's a fair argument. So for him, it's really challenging because now the two worlds are blending. And really, his perspective is probably healthy. But some of us really can focus in our homes because our homes are a place of focus. And we don't mind blending the two. I think it's all about the option, giving people the option to do either or. If you want to come in the office, let us know. We'll have a space for you. If not, you're free to work from home. But I feel like you can't force one or the other. Anyway, my point is, home for a lot of people is a place that they flee. So they anxiously get up and go to work in the morning because they want to get away from their house for different reasons. There's a lot of different reasons people like to and want to flee their homes. So, you know, we're not going to make assumptions about that and we're not going to pass judgment. But in that wanting to flee the home, the sense of community is failing. You understand? So it's kind of hard to explain. I'll put it to you this way. At least the city that I live in, I rarely see children like really playing outside anymore. I mean, really playing. Like, we used to just run at top speed and then just like collapse in the grass. Just not nonsensical play, like bubbles. We would blow bubbles. We would jump rope. We would, you know, play kickball with a big inflated beach ball. We would ride our bicycles. Like, we really engaged with the outside. We really, really did. I don't see that much anymore. And I think that's a sure sign that the sense of community is going away. All the kids are tucked in, you know? But it's not just that, it's also the culture itself that's taking away from that community. So when they do explorations and they try to figure out, yes, it is like an arranged life. From the comment thread, someone just wrote, it's like an arranged life. Absolutely 100%. And it should kind of scare you. If you really give it some thought, it should scare you a little bit. Because what it's actually taking away from you is your autonomy, but you don't see it because it's so subtle and it's so gentle and it's so controlled. But people question why the millennials aren't having as many children, why the millennials aren't getting married as frequently. And in addition to it being a financial issue, it's also the issue of we're already married. Most of us are already married to work. And our children are our coworkers, bosses, managers, leaders, what have you, customers sometimes. We're already married. So how can we get married to another outside entity when we're actually indeed already married? Okay? This is page 143. It says, so many suburbs lack community that home buyers are willing to pay a premium to have Disney created for them. Now think about that. So many people in the suburbs lack community that home buyers are willing to pay a premium to have Disney created for them. So in other words, that magical, wonderful feeling that you should feel when you're driving down your street. You should feel warm and, oh my gosh, this is my community. This is my neighborhood. I love this place. You know, if you see trash on the street, it might not even be in front of your house, but you stop and you scoop it up because this is your neighborhood. You love it here. You know, it's a warm and magical place. But most people, I wonder if I put this quote. Oh, yes, I did. Let's go to the next quote. People now sleep in their houses and they used to live in their neighborhoods. All right. And I think another way he could have said this was people now sleep in their houses and they live in their workplaces, which is 100% a true statement. They live in their actual workplaces now. That's where their life is. That's where the parties are. That's where the daycare is. That's where their bank is. That's where their dry cleaner is. That's where the food is. That's where your friends are. That's where your gym is. So that's where your life is. Your life is there. It's so insidious. Yes, it's insidious. Yes. Yes, the suburbs lack life energy. Yes, they do. It's so cold. So many of them are so cold. And I can't explain it to you, that coldness, but I think you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a certain coldness that you can't put your finger on. And then if you go in some of these houses, it's even colder. It's so sad. But the reason is because people are just using their houses as places to sleep out of the elements, but they are actually living in their workplaces. Okay? So let's take a little bit more of an in-depth look at that. So it says, as neighborhoods and towns relinquish the job of providing community, the workplace happily takes it over. Here's how. Daycare, exercise facilities, banking, laundry services, uniforms, bookstores, free food, and sleep pods. So you'll see two oh man, here we go. Asterisks. Jesus. You'll see two asterisks there by the free food and the sleep pods because I added those in. So 1 through 6 are his, 7 and 8 I added in. Now I do want to comment on this. I don't ever want to come across as sounding like, oh, she's an ungrateful, spoiled brat. Like she doesn't want any of the stuff that we're giving her. Like, you know, well, screw her. You know, we're working really hard to do nice things for our employees. And I always have to clarify because I'm always being misconstrued. You all have to understand you're talking to the girl whose eyes lit up over this stuff. Like, oh my God, this is heaven on earth. So I'm breaking my own programming. Do you understand? And it's not that these things are bad things, especially not the free food. Right now it is because, you know, sanitation and hygiene, and I put sleep pods on there because here's the point. There were days when I would go to work and I would be so tired that all I would wish for is just a room that I could close the door and just take a nap for 10 minutes, just 10 to 12 minutes. Let me close my eyes, doze off, do a quick REM cycle and come back and I'm good for the rest of the day. No coffee needed, right? The point is, sleep is for home. And what I mean by that is not, oh, I should have gotten enough sleep the night before. Because I think a lot of times we intend to get enough sleep and we just don't. Sometimes you have trouble sleeping. You don't have a lot of control over that. You have a large amount of control over your sleep, but sometimes you just can't get any sleep. Sometimes you just need just a quick nap. So I wished for sleep pods, okay? The issue is sleep is for home. So we should have an environment, if I have that type of job where I can go to my boss or manager and say, hey, I'm struggling. I'm really in bad shape today. I'm just going to head on home. I don't have any more meetings for the day and I'm all caught up on my projects. So I'm just going to head home. I'm going to take a quick nap and I'll be back on in like 30 minutes. And for that to be okay, for me to be able to check in with my body and say, I can't do this. I'm tired. I'm spent. I'm exhausted. I'm beat. I can't do this. I need to rest my body. I'm an adult. I'm responsible. I don't have any meetings. Nothing is due. Everything is caught up. I need to go home and take a little quick nap because who knows, maybe I'm in the process of catching a virus. You see? So what if I get to work and then suddenly I'm like, God, I feel fatigued. Why am I so fatigued? And I'm like, hey, I'm going to head home. I don't know what's wrong, but I'm really tired. And what if me making that decision prevents me from spreading whatever I have to my coworkers? Because remember, you are the most contagious when you're not showing symptoms. So what if the first symptom is fatigue? And I'm like, oh, I need to go. I should be able to have an environment where I can go and it's fine if I have that type of job. You understand? So that's what I mean by sleep is for home. It's awesome to have sleep pods, especially for people like doctors, nurses, firefighters, people who work overnight shifts. You know what I mean? Who can't just leave and go home and come back or leave and go home and hop on the internet. I do think this needs to be woven into our working lifestyle somehow. But the point is, these things are for home. Sleeping is for home. Your meals are for home. Your bookstore, go to Barnes and Noble. Try to keep them open. There's only a few left. They're evaporating, but they're hanging in there. You know, uniforms is fine. Like, I totally get uniforms. If it's that kind of party, that type of industry, you know, I'm not going to come down too heavy on the uniforms because there were days I wish we had uniforms so I didn't have to think about what to wear. And so I would have had less laundry. But anyway, but that wouldn't have bothered me because I have laundry services. Number 4, on-site laundry, on-site banking, on-site exercise, on-site daycare. Don't leave the site. So now I can see where I've gotten myself in trouble in the past a little bit because I would go get the free food at lunchtime and then I would leave. I'd go fix myself a plate and then I'd cover it with foil and leave and enjoy the rest of my 45 minutes of my lunch break. Sometimes I would just go to my car. If I lived close enough, I would just go home and I would eat my food until it finally occurred to me that you're supposed to eat that here. The goal is for you to eat it here with us. You're not supposed to leave. Who said anything about leaving? You're not supposed to walk out of the door with your free food. You're supposed to eat it here. And I'm like, but it's lunchtime. Well, yeah, but we eat together and, we talk and catch up. And I'm like, so when do you actually take a break? Like, I feel like my naivete just rubs against all this cult nature. And that's an honest question. Like, okay, so if we've been working all morning together, we're eating lunch together, and then we'll be working all afternoon. When do we actually take a break? The answer to my question is never. We never take a break. There are no breaks in basketball. Okay, let's keep going. Again, kind of reiterating the point, napping, birthday parties, gifts, dry cleaning, and dinner. Do these sound like activities best performed at home or at the workplace? And when he put it like this, I was like, dang, now I really see it. Napping, birthday parties, gifts, dry cleaning, dinner. Is this best for home or the workplace? This is home stuff. This is stuff we're supposed to be doing at home, not at work. And again, it's great for companies that actually really try to show their employees that they appreciate them. But they're not pushing their employees away enough. And what I mean by that is, this is all well and good, but they're not encouraging employees to go out and remember their own life enough. You see what I mean? Like, hey, okay, we do free food Monday through Thursday. Friday, please leave the office and go out into the community and get food and network and talk to people out of the office. You know what I mean? Go home if you want to, you know? Hey, for your birthday party, why don't you invite some of your friends to the office if you have to be here? You know what I mean? Hey, to celebrate your birthday, why don't you invite some of your friends here? You know, or you know what I mean? Like, it's so deeply ingrained that I'm having a tough time thinking of examples of the opposite. That's how deep it is. You see what I mean? Like, I've never frowned upon a gift that the companies have given. I think that's nice because they have such a tough time showing generosity towards their employees. But at the same time, you don't want it to become where they're basically like a family member. They're giving you Christmas gifts, birthday gifts, Valentine's Day gifts, anniversary gifts. Like, at some point, they're becoming family. And we've already had a very long discussion about family and the workplace on this channel. But this slide made me think of something. So napping, birthday parties, gifts, dry cleaning, and dinner. Do these sound like activities best performed at home or at the workplace? It made me think of this. Maybe this is why people keep getting themselves in trouble at work. And what I mean is in trouble in terms of inappropriate relationships with the opposite gender. Maybe because their whole life is at work. They sleep at work, they eat at work, they shop at work, they bank at work. Everything is at work. They party at work. So what is home? If you're getting all your needs fulfilled at work, what is home to you but a place to sleep? You see? So maybe this is why people keep finding themselves in trouble, because literally the company has completely absorbed their whole entire life. And again, like I said before, I think a lot of them mean well. I actually don't think a lot of them have enough strategy to plan out a cultish type indoctrination system. I don't think they're that strategic. I really don't. I think culting happens when you don't have critical thinkers in the mix. I think human beings naturally default to a culted state and naturally desire to be culted when you don't have an abundance of critical thinkers in the room, when you don't have an abundance of people with an inner voice, when you don't have an abundance of people with a clear definition of self, you run the chance of just becoming a cult. I think it just happens when there's emptiness inside, for the most part. So anyway, I digress. It is very unhealthy. And the thing about it is you don't see it at first because it looks so fun. Like your first day, you're given things. Some people get a jacket, pens, cups, bags. Some companies actually take the time. Some companies actually give really nice things. They don't go the cheap route. They actually invest in their employees on the front end. Brand new laptops. You know what I mean? Brand new equipment. That's nice. To me, that's how it's supposed to be done, you know? Then there's a party every other week for something. There's always food here. Food is always flowing. Cake is always flowing. You know what I mean? Oh, wow, they just installed nap pods. I can go take a little nap. Like, it sounds like so much fun, guys. But the problem is, let me go back just one. You cannot forget yourself. You cannot forget your own life. You can't. And so many of us have forgotten our own lives to the extent that now that we're being forced to stay home, people are going stir crazy and losing their minds. That's kind of an exaggeration because it really just started here in the States. But what I'm saying is people are going stir crazy. They don't know what to do. And I'm like, clean up, do your laundry, take a nap. Yeah. Take a nap, clean up, do your laundry, plan, purge something. Do some yard work if you have a yard. You know what I mean? Like, man, take advantage of this time. Are you nutty? Take advantage of this time. They never give it. It had to be forced on them. Forced on them. Take advantage of this time because you'll probably never, ever, ever get it again. Take advantage of it. Okay? But you cannot forget your life, because what are you without your job? So a lot of people right now have jobs in industries that if they're not open, there's no work, literally. So some people are fortunate in that they can take their laptop home and continue on work. Everyone's job doesn't work that way. For example, what are the school bus drivers doing right now? You know, what are the cafeteria staff that work in these schools? What are they doing right now? For all the flights that are being canceled, you know, in all the different countries that are being kind of shut off, what are all the pilots doing right now? You see what I mean? So who are you outside of your job? And that is the one thing I can say about myself. I always held on to who I was. And I had a lady tell me on my last day at one of the jobs that I left. She said, you know, and I think she meant it as a compliment. Sometimes I think it was a backhanded compliment, but then other times I'm like, maybe she was just telling you how she really feels. And she said, you know what? You stayed true to yourself the whole entire time. And there was a part of me that took it as a backhanded compliment because I was under a lot of cult pressure at that job. A lot of cult pressure. That's the job where we had to go to the cabin in the woods. For those of you familiar with that story, yeah, one of our team building activities was an overnight stay at a cabin in the woods, in the mountains. And long story short, I bailed out of there. Okay? I can't remember what live stream it is, or how it's titled, but basically that's the long story short. The team building activity was an overnight stay in a cabin in the woods up in the mountains, and I wasn't with it. And I left. So that would be an example of me staying true to myself. And she said it, and I waffle between, did she really mean it from her heart or was it backhanded? But either way, I took it as a compliment. I take it as a compliment mainly, even if she means it backhanded or meant it backhanded. She said, you stayed true to yourself the whole entire time. And I think I looked at her and I said, thank you. Thank you. That is one of the nicest things anyone has ever said to me. Thank you. And I'm laughing because if she meant it as a backhanded compliment, it's like, this bee is crazy. I just basically tried to insult her and she said, thank you. Yeah, it was cabin fever. Okay. So anyway, yeah, she told me I stayed true to myself the whole entire time. And I really took that as a high compliment. High compliment. Thank you. That tells me I'm getting stronger and more confident and more able to basically tell people like her to buzz off. No, I'm not staying in this cabin in the woods where y'all are getting sauced, trashed. I'm not going to look for you if one of you goes and wanders off in the woods. I'm not going on an expedition for you. I'm just going to call the helicopters. I'm like, listen, one of them wandered off. Yep, it looks like north, due north. Go look for her. Yeah, I'll stand here at the window. Anyway, people who operate rationally in all three circles, work, family, and community, have the opportunity to experience different sides of their being. So this is kind of what I mean by you cannot forget your life. You have different sides to your being. And so many of us have been handed off for so long to other people, we've never really had an opportunity to experience ourselves. So what I mean by that is you started in the care, custody, and control of your parents or family unit or living situation as a young person, right? Then when you turned 18, most of you got handed off to a school, a trade school, or the military, one of those three. You got handed off to their care, custody, and control. Then, depending on, how that worked, we'll just assume it all went well. Some of you stayed in the military, so you remain in their care, custody, and control. Some of you went to college, graduated, and then you were handed off from the college to your employer. Okay? And there you remain, and there you shall remain as you're handed off from employer to employer to employer, so forth and so on. You all understand the point that I'm making. Generally, most of us have been taught to allow ourselves to be handed off to the next person. So then many of you will then go and super complicate your lives by getting married. So now, no matter who you're working for, you're always in the care, custody, and control of that other person. And I mean that for men and women. Because no matter what, every decision you make is tethered to that person. Care, custody, and control. So most of you, a lot of you, never had an opportunity to experience the little bit of life that was yours, strictly yours. Which is why I'm such a firm advocate for people prior to them getting married, having lived alone for a little bit. Live alone for at least a year. You have to. You have to live alone so you can understand what your cleaning standards are, your food standards, your temperature standards, your sleeping standards. You understand? Your noise standards. You have to figure that stuff out on your own, because if you don't, you will figure it out when you marry that person. That's when you'll discover it. Like, oh, wow, I actually really like my house kind of cold. I didn't realize that before until now he keeps it on 80 in the summer to save money on the electric bill, even though we have money. It's little things like that you won't figure out until you live with someone else. So how can you advocate for yourself if you don't even know who yourself is? That's like an attorney sitting down with a client they've never met before, haven't reviewed the case, don't know anything that's going on. And now that attorney has to speak on behalf of that client, not knowing who they are at all. It's the exact same thing. When you attempt to keep blending your life with other people and you've never had a chance to get to know yourself, how can you advocate for yourself? You can't. You don't know yourself. You don't know her. Okay? So you have to experience the different sides of your being. So when I was heavy into corporate, I was desperate to get home at all times because that was my oasis. That was the one place that I could truly be myself. You know what I mean? Kind of move at my own pace, move at my own beat. And I cherished it and I craved it. And what I realized is that I worked with a lot of people who had already given that up long time ago. So they don't have alone time. They don't have quiet time. There's no such thing as downtime for them. So because there's no such thing as downtime for them, there's not going to be any such thing as downtime for me. They'll be damned if I have downtime, if they don't have any. You understand? And I told you guys a couple live streams ago, one of my coworkers, we were doing a getting to know you thing, and she just flat out said to me, I'm jealous of you, because she was asking me questions. I wasn't volunteering. She was like, are you single? Yes. Do you have kids? No. Wow. So you're just single with no kids, just living life? Well, I mean, if you put it that way, yes. Oh, wow. I'm jealous of you. I'm like, well, damn, you made yourself jealous, because I wasn't talking about that. You brought all this up. But it was a peek into the mind of how they think. You see what I mean? So I say all that to say, for young people who may be listening, give yourself a chance to be on your own for just a little bit, okay? Just a little bit. Give it like a year or two. No roommates. You have to pay your bills by yourself, because that is the only way you will ever come to appreciate money. It's the only way you will ever grow to appreciate money. If you're constantly splitting bills, in the back of your mind, there's always a cushion there. You need to live life with no cushion for a couple years. It'll change your perspective on everything. Everything. It will change your perspective on everything when you live life with no cushion. A roommate is a cushion. I'm sorry, it is. And I know that a lot of people have no choice. I'm not judging you. Hear me out. I've had a roommate before. It was in college, but that's not the point. I have had a roommate before. Okay? Roommates provide cushions, like the rent is split, food is split, utilities are split. You need to live on your own, honey. So you have an opportunity to experience these different sides of yourself and also really truly grow to appreciate money, because nothing makes you appreciate money like having no cushion at all. On page 158, it says in the early stages of culting, it is critical that no one break rank, because a small hole in the dike could cause a flood of defections. At later stages in the culting process, individuals can be trusted not to bolt. Oh my gosh, was I drunk when I wrote this? But in the early stages, bolting is a great concern. Sorry for the typos, guys. I was rushing to get this out. This is one of the last slides I made, and clearly I wasn't paying attention. So in the early stages of culting, it is critical that no one break rank, because a small hole in the dike could cause a flood of defections, one of my favorite words. Shout out to defections and defectors. At later stages in the culting process, individuals can be trusted not to bolt. But in the early stages, bolting is a great concern. So what this made me think of was, I'm pretty sure it's the elephant example. And forgive the use of this particular example because I realize that it's unkind. But I'm happy to see that this practice is ending. But in the past, the way that they would train circus elephants is they would tie them to a stake when they were little babies, okay? And the elephant can't, when they're a baby, they can't move off that stake because they're just not strong enough to pull it out of the ground yet, you see? And I don't know if this is like old wives' tale or mythological, but the principle is the same, okay? So then what happens is they train this elephant up attached to the stake. And what eventually happens is, even this great big old giant 2-ton elephant, you can tie that rope to them and tie them to that stake and they won't move. Because in their mind, it's still the same difficult stake that they couldn't move when they were a baby. So in their mind, they're like, oh man, this thing again? Well, I know I can't move it because I've already tried many times. So they don't try anymore. Same thing with, I think it has to do with cages, but basically if you cage an animal long enough, once you open the door, they won't run. And that's not polite. I'm saying that that's absolutely not kind. That is unkind. Please don't do that. Please be nice to the animals. But the point that I'm trying to make is the same point he's making on the screen, which is they have to make sure that no one defects in the early stages of the process, because one defector can lead to multiple defections. So they're monitoring constantly for signs of defection. However, once you cross that hurdle, and once they have that baby elephant that is now a giant elephant thinking they're still attached to that stake, you're not going anywhere. And they can fling the door wide open for you and you won't run. I've seen people get job offers, legit, solid job offers from other companies. They've come to me and asked me for advice. Hey, should I take this job? And I'll ask them questions. They run it down. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Yes, take that job. Are you crazy? You're going to get more money. It's excellent opportunity. It's more aligned with your skills. You know what I mean? You'll get a different title. Your resume will be improved. Yes, take the job. Are you out of your mind? Take it. But they were so deeply culted. They didn't reject it for any other reason other than being completely devoted to the company that they were working for. And 9 times out of 10, somewhere down the line, their loyalty was repaid in like a layoff. So that's why you have to have limited loyalty. Limited. You show as much loyalty as has been shown to you. But even then, you have to limit it because you are not married to your job. You're not. You are married to yourself primarily. If you ever marry yourself, your life might change. But we so readily and easily give ourselves over to people we just met. We just met them. We just met them. And we so easily give it up, give it right up, I've resolved myself that I will never allow any job to stop me from taking care of something that might be what I call truly important. So if someone falls ill that is a loved one, you know what I mean? Or anything that I consider to be a true emergency, truly important, I'm never going to put a job over that. Because those people, that entity, that thing, whatever, was there before them. And that includes me. I was there before this company. I will be here after this company. You understand? So you have to take care of the same person that was there before all of this. You have to. Okay. All right. It says corporations direct the time of their employees so carefully that controlling their at-work time is no longer sufficient. The corporation is controlling off-the-clock hours as well. Yes, indeed. And what this actually made me think of was that one time where I almost pledged a sorority. And I shared that story in a video called Narcissists Are Dangerous Because They Don't Know When to Quit. Okay? But the short version of that story is I almost pledged a sorority. We kind of sort of got kidnapped, taken to this apartment, lined up, drilled, questioned, belittled, degraded for like 4 hours. And eventually some girl fainted. And then once this chick fainted in line, they completely changed their persona, sat us all down, offered us like water and tea and snacks, and started telling us about how great the sorority was. So I bring up that story because this is part of what they told us. They told us, and this is also part of the reason I decided not to do it. They told us, we know you just got to school, meaning college. We know you just got here. We know you miss your family. We know you think you're going to go home every other weekend to visit your family, but you're not. You're here with us now. You belong to us. So call your mom and call your dad when you get home tonight and tell them you won't be coming down for spring break. Tell your friends back home you won't be coming down for spring break. You hang out with us now. They told us who we were to be seen with, who we were not to be seen with. Now keep in mind, this is our first day meeting these girls. We weren't even in yet. We hadn't crossed. We hadn't done anything. This is our first day meeting them. They're telling us who we are, who we're not, what we're going to do, what we're not going to do, who we're going to hang out with and who we're not going to hang out with. All right? You know, and then the threat back then, because social media hadn't blossomed yet, was we better not catch you in any pictures with anybody. Meaning like physical pictures, like the, 3x5s that you use to go to the store and print off? Yeah. We better not catch you in any pictures with anyone. And I'm like, hold up, pause. Are you threatening me right now? Am I being threatened right now? I feel threatened. So, yeah, I defected and broke the line. And I was pretty much shunned by this group of girls for the remainder of my time at that school. I didn't care. Because it was more important to me to not be treated like a criminal, and I hadn't done anything wrong. I could feel my freedom, the attempt at my freedom being stripped away from me. And I'm like, I just got here. I just got to school. I just escaped my parents' house. Why would I escape my parents' house and then go put myself under your psychotic care, custody, and control? My parents don't treat me like this. So I'm certainly not going to let you treat me this way. So I defected, and I still don't regret it to this day. Anytime I even have an inkling of regret, it's only in relation to getting jobs in corporate America, which has proven itself to be cult-like and psychotic. So I think it worked out well for me overall. So anyway, that's pretty much it for the actual content. And we are officially in after show mode. Welcome, welcome. Thanks to everybody who's joining. I appreciate it so much. This has been our Chapter 8 of our Corporate Cults Review. The topic, separation from the community, and the insidious way that the company actually separates you from your community, which explains a lot. It explains why people feel so isolated these days, why people feel like they have nobody, why some people have become so desperate in the dating world. You know, they don't realize how they've been cut off from community, and some people are too young to even really know what a community is. Because they never really have seen it. They were born into this modern tech generation, so they don't even really know what that looks like. People are afraid of each other in general, and now actually have a tangible reason. So anyway, during the after show, I just scroll your comments to see what you guys were chit-chatting about, and then we will get on out of here and do that. I would like to go ahead and plug one of my channel partners, which is BetterHelp. If you are struggling during this period of isolation, if you're frightened, if you're freaking out or scared, you can go to https betterhelp.com/permission to exist. You can get 10% off of your membership to speak with a counselor on your own terms. So do check that out if you have an opportunity, if you need someone to talk to, and use that discount. And yes, if you do that, this channel will get a kickback, and we thank you so much for your support. So let's go through your comments here and see what you guys were talking about. Exactly. My point exactly. It says, they wonder why there are so many affairs at work. Exactly. Because work has become the whole life. Like imagine, and I know a lot of people still do this, don't get me wrong, but imagine having a birthday party at your house with your parents, a couple of your friends, and it's just cake and, maybe a little wine, alcohol, whatever, however you celebrate. And it's just you guys, like the same crew that has been around since you were kind of young, And then maybe you have a coworker or two come to your house because you might really get along with that particular person. But instead, it's quite the opposite. You go to work and have your birthday parties, Let's see. Yeah, it was so fun. Play jacks, run in the rain, ride bikes, no computers. It was fun. And I don't want to make it sound like I am resentful of the tech, because I actually love the technology. I think there's so much more we could be doing with it. And I wonder, for any of my tech geeks listening right now, do you remember a period where technology was actually better than it is right now? Do any of you remember that? In my opinion, this was between the years of like 1998 to probably 2001, if I had to kind of put a date range on it. But technology used to be actually much smarter than it is right now. And an example, let me see if I can get a good example going for you. Well, an example would be Microsoft. So when I think Microsoft started to lose itself around Windows 8 or 10. But in the early days of Microsoft Windows, those computers were amazing, y'all. The things that they could do. Like the way that you could get into the back end and fix things and tweak things. Like you had so much more power to fix your own machine. The way that the computers thought about things. It's so hard for me to explain what I'm trying to say. But anyway, my point is, I don't want to ever make it sound like I resent technology, because I don't. I think technology can be better because I've actually seen it get better, and then it like went into this like smart dumb phase, and there we remain. We're in like this really smart dumb phase, dumb smart phase, where like, for example, those of you who have iPhones, okay, you know that if you take a picture, you can mark it up, right? I'm gonna need so much more from markup. All these iterations of this phone, and you all haven't added anything to that. Do you know how much we manipulate our pictures? And it's still just a little tired highlighter, a tired little pencil, a tired little marker. You can crop, woohoo. For a second, they had it to where like if you drew a circle, the circle would complete itself and it would be perfect. And it was wonderful. And then they took it away. That's what I mean by dumb smart. You don't know what we actually want. You just keep doing stuff. Don't get me started on a tangent, because me and technology have a long history together, and I'm so kind of low-key disappointed. Like, I'm very pleased in many ways, don't get me wrong. Like GPS, love it. Let's keep improving on that. Excellent, Everything that these phones can do. They do a lot. They can do more. Let's keep going before I get trailed off on that topic. Let's see here. Yes. People don't have time to create a bond with a partner because they're always working and committed to their job. Too stressed out and overwhelmed to consider building a family. Exactly. How can you think about getting your wife pregnant when you have a major deadline and your boss has been breathing down your neck for? And you know what's worse than being a person who is always like at risk of being gently shuffled out the door because, you can't be culted, is being a person who is actually culted. And here's why. When you're actually culted in, and they know you're not a true defector at heart, you can try to quit your job and they kind of won't let you. It happens where someone finally gets the courage to go into their boss's office and say, I think this is the end of the road. I have to stop now. And because they are so heavily in that cult, the boss guilt trips them. And before you know it, not only do they still have their job, they still have their job with more responsibilities. These are the people who feel like they would basically have to run away or fake their own kidnapping in order to escape these people. So the only thing worse than being a person who's always like, oh great, I pissed the cult off. Here, let me just wait for the other shoe to drop. The only thing worse than being that person is being the person who they decided you're not going anywhere. Where do you think you're going? Oh, you want to quit? Oh, you're going to quit? You're going to go out there in that big old world all by yourself? Ooh, I don't think that's a good idea. No, I think you need to stay right here. Yep. No, actually, no, I see your little box packed up. That's very cute. I see your resignation letter. That's very cute. But you can actually take both of these and just go back to your desk and finish your shift. Or I'll call your mom. Yeah, you know your mom knows my mom, right? You know that they're in the same sorority, right? So if you quit this job, I will call your mother and tell her what you did today. Oh, y'all think, listen, I saw a comment from the last live stream that said, we got pushed out and who knew that it would be a blessing in disguise? And I can't remember who said it. But isn't that the truth? You know, all this time we're like, man, we just want to fit in and just work and, but we're always feeling like we're on the run. Well, who knew that being pushed out would ultimately be a blessing in disguise? Because when you are heavy in that cult, or imagine being someone who really needs to quit a job, but you're married to someone important in the cult. You see? Now you can't quit because you will make your husband or your wife look bad. Y'all, it's deep, y'all. It goes so deep. It has such far-reaching implications. That's why we are pretty much chopping block material, because we're not that heavy in the cult. You're not married to the VP. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh, whatever, get rid of her. Who cares? But they're up there playing malignant chess, basically. Really toxic chess. Let's do a show called Toxic Chess. I love it. Let's see here. Says, I don't know one single person down my road. Now I'm going to leaflet all of them. Now people are self-isolating. I don't know what you mean by leaflet, but I think it's funny. Yeah, people don't know each other. And I remember the one time I met my neighbors in my complex was when we had a fire drill. Well, it was a false alarm. But anyway, it pushed everyone out of the buildings. And so we were just standing down there talking, So that was kind of when I met them. But I was amazed at how many people's faces I had never seen. Never. I was like, who are all these people? They all live out there. No one knows each other anymore. Don't have time. Says, I feel warmer while dead broke in other countries. Right. This is regarding the sense of warmth and community and belonging. And, perhaps that's utopian, but at the same time, I don't think it is. I think we've just been forced inward, It's so hard to explain, but yes, you can go to other places and sense the sense of community and warmth and love, and that's what we all need. We need like a national play day where everyone goes outside. Didn't we used to have that? The coldness is the demon of narcissism, right? It's one of the end results and one of the side effects, Because I know a lot of people, and I'll include myself in this bunch. I tend to kind of avoid my neighbors because I'm afraid that they'll discover I'm kind of a nice person and then they'll latch on. Because I have a lot of people who do that to me. And because I'm not a mean person, I can't be like, hey, back off, Hey, you need to chill, back off. I heard someone say on some video, and I think it's a video someone sent to me, maybe not, but she was basically like, what would you say to this person or to these people if there were no judgment attached? No judgment attached. And that was in regard to any situation. I was like, God, in that particular situation, I would say, hey, I really like you. You seem like a cool person, but you're a little bit pushy and aggressive, and that makes me uncomfortable. So could you back off, please? That's mean. Who says that? That's mean. To me, that's mean. But again, the question was, what would you say if you had no judgment? If there was no judgment attached. Let's see here. I know, right? I always wanted them when I was in corporate. I really, really wanted them, but now not so much. And then immediately my mind goes to the sanitation of these things. Although they do make some with UV lights designed to kill, bacteria and viruses, but you can't kill substance. And I'll just leave it at that so as not to gross everyone out. But you can kill the viruses in a substance, but you can't kill the substance itself. Some things need to be wiped down. Wow. It says the problem with life happening in corporate environments is life in a corporate environment means sublimating one's life to an external agenda for external profit. Exactly. So in other words, you're not even really doing this for yourself. You're doing this for someone else. Yes, you reap the benefit of a paycheck, which congratulations, that's fantastic. But ultimately, this is an external agenda that's being run for external profit. You will never see the profits that they're seeing. And you might make 6 figures. But if you're making 6 figures, trust me, they're making 7 or 8 figures. Great comment. Yes, I agree. Let's see. Yes, it says if your life is tied in corporate affairs, your life is not your own. It's not. And it's so sad to watch people who've laid it down, man. Laid it down. Just gave it up so easy. Just gave their lives up just like that. It's so sad because a lot of times when either they have to give up that job or, they're let go, they collapse because that job was their everything. And I think to a large degree, again, let me reiterate, I believe in working for money. I believe in earning our way to the best of our ability and to the best of our capabilities, right? And I believe in enjoying that also. I believe that it should be something that's very enriching for you. I think the word of the day would be enriching. It should be an enriching experience, no matter what it is. Okay? So no matter what your job is, when you leave, you should feel like, man, that was a good day today. Man, I nailed it. I killed it today. You see what I mean? I really pulled that off. You know what I mean? Like, it should fulfill you. It should be enriching. Like your primary thoughts, like if you're going to worry about anything, you should be worried about your strategy for the next day. So, okay, hey, I killed it today. How am I going to kill it tomorrow? You know what I mean? Or, I messed that up today. How am I going to fix that tomorrow? Your worry should not be, oh crap, if I don't go to this happy hour tomorrow, I'm going to be in so much trouble and I'm going to get pulled into a one-on-one. That should not be your worry. Your worry should not be, oh man, I really want to go to my kid's recital, but we have this Christmas dinner after work and I really need to be there because of my job title. That should not be your worry. That's what I'm saying. Like, your job should be enriching. You should feel like you earned your money that day. You should feel like you're good at what you do. And you should, yes, enjoy what you are doing. But it should not be the fullness of your being and your personality. I was thinking about this before this live stream. I was like, a lot of times they'll call people well-rounded. Oh, he or she is such a well-rounded individual. And what I think they're really saying is that he or she has simply held on to the parts of their life that they just wouldn't let corporate touch. You see what I mean? Like, there's got to be parts that other people can't touch. And it's not creepy or weird. You're not hiding anything. What I'm saying is that thing or whatever it is something that other people cannot get to. They can't touch it. And that is yours. You need that. You have to have that. If you don't, you're basically kind of like laying out seed for all the birds, and the birds are just coming and picking up what they want. The sunflowers, the bird seed, the wildflower seed, they're just plucking away at you because you don't protect any parts of yourself. Some parts of yourself have to be protected. Something has to be yours. So my challenge to you would be, next time you find yourself in like a team building type activity or setting, yes, share. Don't be a weirdo. Don't be like, I have permission to exist and I'm not sharing any parts of me. I am totally protected. It's not what I told you to do. It's not what I said. But share what's reasonable. But you should always keep a few parts back that are uniquely yours. They're yours. No one needs to know. You see what I mean? You don't have to share every little piece of yourself. You don't. Don't let them believe that you do either. Yeah, it is an introvert's nightmare. But isn't it funny that the whole world is now being forced to be introverted? So all the introverts I know are like, okay, so avoid people and stay home. Cool, no problem. This should be easy. This should be easy. Introverts all over the world are rejoicing. It's like, wow, for the first time the world looks familiar. You know? We already had a whole little world set up in our houses, so it's no big deal to stay home and play in it. You know? So yeah. But the thing is, like, it's so hard to explain, y'all, because I'm all about efficiency and convenience. So it's like, okay, cool. There's an on-site little store. I'm going to run in there and grab some Claritin because I'm out. And that prevents me from having to go to CVS, which is 10 minutes down the street, 10 minutes back, plus traffic. I could accidentally be gone for 30 minutes. So I'm just going to run to the company store, grab some Claritin, and dart back up to my desk. Like, the convenience is very alluring. It will make you drunk. The free food is alluring. It will make you drunk. It will. You know, other little amenities, and they are nice to have, but the thing is, they're usually not offered up with the side of, but hey, you're also an independent, freestanding adult. You don't have to stay here. You can go somewhere else. You know? You don't have to eat this lunch today. You can actually leave if you want to. No big deal. We'll see you when you get back. It's not offered up with a side of autonomy. So as a result of not being offered with a side of autonomy, that's what makes it cultic. You understand? So in other words, if I ran a company that had to have a physical location, and I would probably have one anyway, just for two reasons. One, storage. Like if we have things like books and binders or whatever, we're going to need somewhere to put them. So storage, one, because I don't want to keep all that crap at my house. But also it would be a place where we can meet whenever we actually need to meet in person. We can meet up at the office. But three, for those people who do want to leave their house and actually go into an office, it would be there. But my strict policy would be, unless it is a quote unquote mandatory company meeting that you would know about in advance, well in advance, you don't have to come in here. Come in here if you want to. We got printers, you know, you got desks, there's internet, you know, come in if you want to. You're more than welcome, but you do not have to. If I need to reach you, I will email you or I'll call you or I'll text you. And that's that. Like, you know, it's served with a side of autonomy. You understand? If we do free food every day, the only thing I would need to know is the numbers for a head count. Because I don't want to order food for 100 people if only 10 people are going to be there. You see what I mean? So it's like, hey, free food's coming up. Who's coming to get the free food? Just let me know so we can do head count. That's it. But you do not have to show up for the food. Just don't have me out here ordering 100 meals for 6 people. That's all. It's freedom with a side of autonomy, you know? All right, let's see. Says a lot of channels call their subscribers family, and it makes me cringe. Now that is funny. That is funny. I hope I've never done that. I hope not. I don't think I do, though. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Oh, they're losing it. You know they're coming undone. I saw a video. I forgot what city it was, but it was like downtown. Oh, what city was it? It was like downtown something will not be stopped. And it was showing a crowded bar full of people just dancing up on each other, holding each other, you know, like shoulder to shoulder, back to back. Just, I said, look at all that Corona swirling. Swirl, Corona, swirl. Do your job. Do your job. And help us out here, because there's nothing else we can do. We've tried words, actions, nothing. So Corona, take it away. But the rest of them are losing it. They're losing their ever-loving minds because everything has always been so external. And I'm not knocking those who live a very external life. You like to go and do. You're very outgoing and outdoorsy, and you're an extrovert, and that is fine. We need a balance. We can't have the whole world introverted, because look at what happens when the whole world is introverted. Things shut down, right? When no one is going anywhere, no one is doing anything, the whole world shuts down, right? But then when everyone is going and everyone is doing everything, eventually the world shuts down because everyone is burnt out. So we need the balance, is what I'm saying. But dang, where was I going with that thought? I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, they're losing it because they can't go out. It's time. That was my point. It's time to pull it in a little bit. Pull in. You always go out. Pull in a little bit. Pull in just a little bit. And focus on your life for once. Look around your house. Does it need any help? Work on some projects that you've been putting off. Because you've had to, because you're always going. Let's see. Yes, do those things that you've been putting off for years. Absolutely. Write a book, sweep under the bed, start a business, do all of these things. You have time. Because here's the thing, even those of you who are working still, because you have like a job that can telework, we all know that most of us are not glued to our computers the whole entire 8 hours, which is their worst nightmare. Their worst nightmare is that you'll get up and go start a load of laundry. Okay? But what I'm telling you is go do that. So as soon as your meeting ends, get up, go start a load of laundry, come back to your computer so your boss doesn't freak out because they can't see you or find you, right? Do another meeting. At the end of that meeting, go take that load out, put it in the dryer. What I'm saying is take advantage of this free time you didn't have because you've always been at the office or commuting to the office or commuting from the office. So right now, many of you have free time in the morning and in the afternoon that you have not had in years because you've been commuting. Take advantage of it. You know, if you live in a place that has an area that you can walk and it's a safe thing to do, you know, and we're following social distancing, go out and take a nice walk. Enjoy that time that you would have been commuting, you would have been up anyway. You know, meal prep, meal plan to the best that you can with the food that you can find. Purge, clean, like, oh man, there's so much you can be doing. Take a nap. America needs a nap. I'm going to tweet Trump and say, can during our lockdown, can you institute National Nap Day? Because maybe that's why everyone is so gruff and aggressive and angry. They're sleepy and hungry, but we won't go off on that tangent. Tell them to take a nap. National Nap Time. I'm down. Right, they can't get their supply right now. A lot of the narcissists are pissed because most of their supply comes from the torture they inflict on their employees. So I guarantee you what's happening for the companies who've never done remote work. before. If they've done it before, they're used to it. But for the ones who've never done it before, oh, I guarantee you they're forcing their employees to leave their cameras on. Okay, so yes, we're doing a conference call virtually. Turn on your webcam. I bet they're forcing their employees to still get dressed, even though there's no customers. Because my philosophy is this: unless we are customer facing, meaning we interact with the public for our goods or services, I'm not dressing up for you on a webcam for work. Do you see what I mean? One of the main reasons I don't come on here is because I feel like I would owe to you a nice presentation. I want my hair to look nice. I want my face to look nice. You won't see much of my outfit, but the little bit of my outfit that you see, I would want that to be presentable and nice. That's high production, honey. That's high production, okay? So, and because I know I can't commit to that right now, because to me, that's a commitment. My hat goes off to people who do it every day. I can't commit to that right now, so I don't do it. But these workplaces who are losing control, I guarantee you they're making their people still dress up. Like, even memo. Even though we are being forced to work from home from the federal government, the expectation is that you will still appear on camera as you would as if you were in the workplace. This means no t-shirts, no pajamas, no shorts, no flip-flops. Oh, I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Because they still have to enact some level of control over their employees, when really the only controller should be their output. What did you hire them to do? Are they doing it? Yes or no? If yes, continue on. If no, might be time to have a different conversation. And that's it. There's nothing else. I don't need to see you unless you're like an actor or an entertainer or some part of your face is required for your job. Otherwise, I don't need to see you. So if I ever prop up a company and you guys apply, know that we'll be doing conference calls because most of the time I won't be around physically to do a meeting. And that will be the thing. Like, if you want to turn on your camera because you feel like you look good that day, go for it. Knock yourself out. I will probably have my camera off most of the time, but I might have a day where I feel like I look pretty. And so I'll turn it on, and that would be the expectation. You know, turn it on if you want to. Knock yourself out. I don't care. I don't have to see you. You could be on a beach. As long as you're participating in the conversation and answering the questions, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care. Because I'm more focused on what we're actually trying to achieve here than where your body is. You could take the call from the bathroom for all I care, but you better leave that camera off. I don't want to see that. All right, let's keep going. And we're going to wrap up here soon. Oh no, I hope you're okay. You didn't do the giant straw challenge, did you? So a lot of these younger employees have been working all their lives, don't know any different way of life. Very true. Working since we were 16. All right. Y'all remember the cabin in the woods story? Y'all, I've never been more freaked out in my life. Just completely uncomfortable. And part of that discomfort was the fact that they had a sharing room. So there was 15 of us in 3 rooms and 5 beds per room. And I just no. I'm sorry. I'm an adult. No. And bathrooms, of course. No, I'm not doing that. Sorry. So the problem with corporations and corporate cultural life is that they try to maximize work from their employees. The employees are compelled to live for their company, not for themselves. Exactly. So your life is constantly centered around what they need the most at the time. Not the predetermined, agreed upon, terms and conditions that we talked about based on hiring me, but what is most important to you at this time. So it very quickly becomes about them and not you. And people will still argue, but yeah, they pay for your health insurance. They give you a paycheck. But if you were to compare the profit margin to your paycheck, they're really winning overall. Them paying you is more like an investment to them. It's like paying you $10 and getting $1,000 return on investment. I think that would be relatively accurate. Yeah, we pay her $10, but we get like $1,000 ROI on her. So, But yeah, the young people who've been working forever, when your whole life is, y'all are getting ready to get me to go down a rabbit hole. When your life is centered around the need of money, which most of our lives are, unfortunately, it becomes very easy to become dominated by other people who have money to give, because that's what you need, right? So it very quickly becomes a situation where essentially they get away with whatever they want because they know you need money. This is why I think it's so important for us to start having these discussions about things like universal basic income. And no, I'm not trying to make this a political conversation, but it just makes sense because look at what's happening right now, guys. People are out of work because their whole industry has said, you know what? It's not worth taking the risk. So companies are not earning money. And I think that there are companies that would still love to pay their employees. But if you do that and you're not earning any revenue or profit, you can only do that for so long before you go out of business. So this whole thing of our whole life being hinged and determined on money is starting to show that it's actually not a very good system. Because even famous people can't get toilet paper right now. I've seen several famous people make posts on social media saying they can't get toilet paper. Now they're millionaires. So what good did your money do you if your money can't even get you a pack of toilet paper for your family? You understand? So I think we're reaching a precipice where we're really having to start to examine our relationship with money. Because yes, again, I believe that we need to have some sort of agency about ourselves, something that makes you want to get up and do something. We need to earn our way. When we don't earn it in some meaningful way, it means nothing to you. It's like if a kid played a sports game, and halfway through the game, the referee just stops and is like, hey, you won. The kid's like, what? You won the game. They're like, no, I didn't. We haven't finished. It's like, yes, you did. Here's your trophy. It's like, oh, okay. Like that trophy loses meaning because that kid did not earn that win. It's the same thing, okay? We need to have a purpose. However, what we have learned with our society is that life is not always as predictable as we would like for it to be. Each day is not necessarily like the last day. So in the event and in those situations where the next day is not like the day before, what are we going to do to make sure people don't go belly up? Because the more people that start to go belly up, the faster your society collapses. You see that we were a house of cards, you guys. One panic, we wiped out the grocery stores across America. One panic, wiped. That's a house of cards. So I don't even know how I got on that topic. Oh, UBI or something similar. We need something to make sure that we're okay. It's the same principle of those of us who, we flew the nest of our parents' house. And a lot of our parents were like, okay, go ahead and fly, do your thing. But know that we're here for you if you ever need help. Some of us were blessed with parents like that. I was one of them. And as a result of that, it actually makes me work harder to make sure that I never have to ask them for help. And I know that seems maybe weird to some people, but I go out of my way to avoid asking them for help, not out of pride, but mainly because it's like, to me, that's like in case of emergency, break glass, right? So I don't want to break the glass too often, because to me, that's a precious resource that I don't want to just waste. So I work very hard to make sure that I don't have to break that glass. You see? So it's the same situation. People need something. They need to know that if I fall, I won't be completely destroyed. That's all. Because I guarantee you there are people right now whose minds are being changed who were probably staunchly against something like that. No, people need to work hard and earn their own way. Yep, and your whole industry just shut down. Now what? Oh, well, who's going to take care of me now? I've been earning my paycheck for 38 years. I've never seen anything like this. And that's the point. You never know when you're going to see something like that. Some people have been seeing something like that every day of their lives. So welcome. So when you've never seen anything like that pops up, what happens? Your best laid plans have gone to waste, haven't they? So it's just time for us to reconsider how we're approaching life. That's all. That's all. And it will probably have the opposite effect of what people think it will have. Knowing that there's something there to help you will probably inspire you to not use it. You know, if you're a tightrope walker, you don't purposely slip your feet so you can fall in the net. You know the net is there, so you walk extra carefully because you're like, okay, I know if I fall, I'll be caught, but I don't want to fall. So I'm going to try really hard to balance myself. But if I fall, the net is there, but the goal is not to fall. That's how most people will approach it. And again, will you have people who will attempt to abuse the system? Yes, they're everywhere. They always do. You design systems to override their system. Come on. All right, I'm going to wrap this up here pretty soon. Yep. It says no cushion is right. I self-budgeted over the 4 years off. I thought about things and economy in a way the average person never does. And I didn't either until I had to. Exactly. It will change your whole perspective. Yes, a lot of roommate situations turn out to be bully victim. They sure do. They most certainly do. It's sad too. That one roommate situation I had was not pleasant. Wasn't pleasant. And it was one of the first times I realized, oh, I don't think I need to live with other people. I don't think this is ever going to work, ever. Now or in the future. Let's see. Yep. All right, let's see. That lack of a cushion, I'm telling you, that lack of a cushion will change everything. It'll change your whole perspective. It'll change your value system. You'll value time differently because think about the no cushion like this. When you have no cushion, so let's relate this back to corporate cults. You know, a lot of corporate cults require your after hours time, but what they don't realize is that when you have no cushion, you don't really have a lot of time because part of that cushion is time. So that 3 hours you're spending at happy hour with your coworkers is 3 hours you weren't making your way home, 3 hours you weren't preparing a meal at home or doing your laundry, 3 hours that might put you into bad traffic. So think about that. Excuse me. Maybe if you leave at your normal time, traffic is normal, but that 3 hours is going to throw you off in such a way that now it puts you dead smack in the middle of bad traffic and doubles your commute. Double commute means double gas. Do you have double gas money? See, these are the things you think about when you lack a cushion. But people who have cushions or have always had cushions don't think about it, and they think you're being ridiculous when you bring up different things. That's what this channel is all about. Permission to exist. It's trying to open up the minds of people like Corona Katie. You understand? That hardened, walled off, sealed off brain that can't see life from the perspective of other people. Totally lacking empathy. And to a large degree, lacking sympathy as well. Right. Let's see. It says, I think That's why I get so much problems. I literally don't understand what I'm meant to do with these groups. Like, what do you want from me? That's the question that I've found myself asking before. What is it exactly that you want from me? Can you spell it out? All right. That's where the love bombing comes in, because they have to make sure you don't defect. Because they know that early defection is inspirational. God, defection is inspirational. It really is. I've helped at least 2 people I know for a fact defect, and their lives have been better for it. I wish I could help more people defect. If you've ever defected as a result of one of my videos or as a result of this channel overall, leave it in the comments. Let me know. I need to know. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, you guys. I thank you so much. And I plan on being back again later on this week. Since we're on lockdown, might as well keep each other company and entertained while we're doing that. So I look forward to chatting with you all later on this week. Until then, stay safe and healthy. And I will talk to you again soon, okay? Bye.